It's flashing red, is it?
Yep. Jack,
Yes.
what was it like in Australia at the time of the Vietnam War?
What was it like in Australia? There was, well, politically, that was the end. It was a Liberal Party in government who supported America in sending troops over there. Oh, okay. But towards the end of the late 60s and early 70s, there was a fairly big movement and an increasingly popular movement to stop conscription and stop Australia's involvement in Vietnam.
When did you find out you'd been conscripted?
When it was a few months before I went in, which was in September '72. So it would have been like 2 or 3 months before that. I think I was at work. They had a ballot every quarter, I think, from memory. So yeah, my number was pulled out. Yeah.
And how did you feel about being conscripted, knowing you may have to go to war?
Well, initially it was just a shock. So it was a bit numbing initially when I first heard for the weekend. I heard it on a Friday, and sort of had the weekend to let it to think about it. But yeah, it was a bit of a shock. Yep.
Where did you go through your training?
Training was at Puckapunyal in just out of Melbourne, up near Seymour.
And how long was it?
3.5 months.
And what sort of things did you do?
Big emphasis on physical fitness. So you're up really early in the morning, like 6 o'clock, doing forced marches and runs and exercises and stuff like that. So that was one big emphasis. The other emphasis was on learning how to operate weapons, rifles and submachine guns and grenades and things like that. They're the two things that come to mind.
Did the people you trained with agree with being conscripted, or was anyone against it?
Yeah, no, there were quite a few who who yelled and screamed and put up. But actually, two guys left the base. Figured out a plan that they reckon they could get back to Melbourne or get up to Sydney, I think it might have been, by getting out to the Hume Highway, and they actually left the base, but they didn't get very far because they were caught in Seymour and brought back again. And I think one of them, I don't think they were like not delisted, but I don't think they were released from the army. I think they just went back to training and got a slight punishment. But yeah, there were a lot of people who disagreed with it, but it was the law. That was pretty much my issue. I came from a small country town, and if you went against the law, you went to jail. So that was the choice.
How did your family feel knowing you could possibly be going to Vietnam?
Oh, my old man wasn't very happy because he was in the Second World War. I don't know about Mum, but I know Dad was a bit hesitant. He didn't want me to not go into the army to I forget what it was called now, conscription avoidance. He didn't want me to do that, but he also didn't want me to go to another war.
How did you feel knowing that you might have been going to Vietnam with people who may not have wanted to be there? Did it make you nervous?
No. No, I think at that stage we had a bit of a choice. You could actually put down whether you wanted to go to Vietnam or not. Now that may or may not have sort of transpired, but from memory you could tick a box saying that you wanted to go to Vietnam. However, we were the last intake of conscription, last intake ever in Australia, and there was a huge political that the elections were to be held in December of that year, and there was you know, a really big movement supporting the stopping of Vietnam, stopping of conscription. So we did have an idea, because the Labor Party, Gough Whitlam, who was competing for the election, his platform was
5 minutes, you're up to.
was to stop conscription in Vietnam. So there was a fair, you know, the polls were saying that the Labor Party would get in and Vietnam would be stopped. So we were the last ones. So it was a little bit, you know, there was a bit of hope there to not go to Vietnam.
So did you personally agree with forcing people to fight possibly against their will?
No, no.
And do you feel conscription should still be in place?
No.
And do you feel the current system of willingly enlisting is the best way to go with things?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Did you agree with the war in general?
No,
And
I didn't. I actually marched. I went to uni in '70, and marched in the moratoriums at the start of the protests against conscription and Vietnam.
So if you had the choice, would you have willingly enlisted?
No.
Okay. In hindsight, would you not partake in the experience if you had had the choice?
Well, the experience of the basic training was pretty good, actually. Physical fitness, unbelievable. You know, never been fitter in my life.
Abs at 60.
Yeah.
Anyway.
In my
That's
dreams. But yeah, no. So. Yeah.
Do you think the younger generations take their freedom for granted?
I don't think so these days. Anzac Day is so big, and the young people are all off to Gallipoli and, you know, New Guinea and places like that, where the Second World War was. And no, I think they have a fair respect for their parents and grandparents and stuff who, you know, who fought.